this is nuts. This is at City Hall? Yeah. How many 2%ers are here? A lot. Why the fuck is Trump just sitting on his ass about this? I don't know. I'm very annoyed that he is. Honestly, fucking arrest all these sickos. The police refuse to respond to this. Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing, is that this is the way that authoritarianism works in a place like Minnesota, is that they apply the police brutally to people that they disagree with, and then they allow mob justice to deal with people who they also disagree with. So basically, they don't actually apply the law fairly. They just apply the law to people that they dislike, and they refuse to enforce the law against people that they're acting in the right. Jake Lang still riot and brought it back to storm Capitol Hill on January 6th. These people might remember his name and do this to him personally. I don't think that's true. I think that there's been a lot of instances of violence, and while Jake Lang might not be a good actor, that doesn't mean that it's okay for you to go and push this guy around and stab him and say kill him. Like, I don't think that's really the reason why. I think that this is just simply a person who's opposing them and disagreeing with them, and they're doing everything that they can to attack this person and hurt them. Like, yes, obviously Jake Lang could be a bad actor, but do you want to live in a country where a mob of people can just go, there's a person peacefully protesting or peacefully saying something, demonstrating, and then a giant mob of people grabs them and then beats the shit out of them? I don't think so. I think this is a very dangerous place to be in. Yeah, I mean, this is third world behavior. Like, in no place in a Western first world country should this be acceptable. All of these people should get arrested and put in jail, or at least any of the ones that are actually being physical and aggressive and violent towards him. There's no reason we have to live like this. Should not have to live like this at all. Oh. No. Hitting the guy in the back of the head, too. That's crazy, hitting somebody in the back of the head like that. Yep. It's a two-tier system. It is. It's total two-tier system. And, like, keep in mind, Tim Walz had no problem mobilizing a National Guard and having different National Guard troops walk down residential neighborhoods, patrolling to make sure that nobody was breaking quarantine for COVID. So the idea that Tim Walz can't solve this problem and can't regulate this is insane. They're choosing not to because they want these people to terrorize their political enemies into silence and to effectively push them into the fringes and suppress their voices. That's it. They shot paintballs at people in their own homes? Yeah, exactly. Jake had 5 other people with him and other scuffles in the crowd, and the 5 other people were getting assaulted? Yeah, definitely. Yep. Get arrested and put in jail, or at least any of the ones that are actually being physical and aggressive and violent towards him. There's no reason we have to live like this. Should not have to live like this at all. Oh. No. Hitting the guy in the back of the head, too. That's crazy, hitting somebody in the back of the head like that. Yep. It's a two-tier system. It is. It's total two-tier system. And, like, keep in mind, Tim Walz had no problem mobilizing a National Guard and having different National Guard troops walk down residential neighborhoods, patrolling to make sure that nobody was breaking quarantine for COVID. So the idea that Tim Walz can't solve this problem and can't regulate this is insane. They're choosing not to because they want these people to terrorize their political enemies into silence and to effectively push them into the fringes and suppress their voices. That's it. They shot paintballs at people in their own homes? Yeah, exactly. Jake had 5 other people with him and other scuffles in the crowd, and the 5 other people were getting assaulted? Yeah, definitely.
Are you there?
Yep. I do have to say that the Christmas music while this is happening, perfect. I love it. Yeah. Uh-huh. It gets worse, so I'll watch the rest of it too.
Kenny did say, I did see, he said he was like, he's just been overcompensating, you know, worried, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I get it. You got to say something. You could have said the same thing on Optic when they were 0-70 or whatever. But I will say, and I'm sticking by this, I got LAT winning Major 1. I got money on it, they dropped Ken, but no money on it. I got them winning Major 1.
Really?
But I'm just still worried long term about this Steve squad because I'm not confident that these players can perform consistently to the level that they have to. I do have them winning Major 1. That's been my take since the start of the season. I mean,
absolutely. Benji, let's go over to you. What did you think of the series, Ben?
I thought the Thieves' teamwork was much improved today.
Oh.
I thought they had a pretty clear game plan, especially if Optic kind of shied away from the kind of mixier maps. They were going to pull out 4 ARs at times, really slow the game down and give no space for the subs and Optic, who haven't really pulled out ARs in really any series we've seen this year. Keep just kind of running straight in L triggers. And as you can see from the slang, I think it worked out. I think for Optic, look, this is bang on a 500 team now in Respawn through stage 1 if you count both Overload and Hardpoint. And, I think they need to try and get some reps on the Blackheart or Colossuses of the world. Maybe they didn't want to play in this series, but so far through all the 5 series they played, they've banned either Blackheart or Colossus. So I think for Optic, there's some concerns about the Respawn right now, and for Thieves, a much need to win. Maybe restart your season.
How do you think Abizi played today, Ben?
I thought A played great, and to the point I just made, there were a lot of times where he had an AR out there pre-aiming, sometimes finessing with the ARs, go plays.
Did he run the whole series
He ran
today?
a full-time AR today, bro. I think he had 4 sub kills.
Ooh, the M15 might be OP.
It's the state of the game,
but
man.
you're going into this series. Your subs are struggling to get kills in Respawn. I'm just surprised for Optic that they have not yet tried Blackheart or Colossus in any one of these series.
Is Damon in the chat? He could tell you why, Ben.
He probably thinks the maps are fucking brain dead.
I mean, but you think that, I mean, they have one more series left. Like, they got to get reps in one or both, you think, right? But you don't want to go into Major 1 having not played either one in an actual series during the season, no?
Gotta think, Ben.
You definitely want to play both.
No.
Deal. What'd you think of the series?
I mean, Kenny went fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Every single map he was frying. Optic, they've now lost to FaZe and LAT since break. I don't know. It's kind of hard to rate where they are, just like it's hard to rate where every team is. But like Ben said, they're 500 in Hardpoint, or not Hardpoint, in Respawn
Hardpoint and Overload, they're both even 500.
Yeah, they're even. So it's feels weird to know how they're gonna do. A lot of the series was Mercury's, of course, always frying. Without Mercury's, I don't know where this team would be. But Dashy's always been up there too. Dashy finally did have a bad series because usually the ARs have been taking over on Optic. And then I don't know, Shots, he has to figure it out. I don't know what's up with Ant, but he's just been struggling a lot this year. And of course, we're always giving him time to he's gonna figure it out eventually. But yeah, I don't feel like it hasn't been this bad in previous years with Ant. So he'll be fine stage 2, stage 3, but for the Major 1 winning hopes, they got to do something quick because, like you guys said, they haven't even played Colossus or Blackheart, and I think they should be really good at those maps. They're a very fast-paced team. So,
especially Blackheart, I would expect them to be really good at Blackheart.
I mean, the one thing to add on though is, you're still gonna have to play Scar and Exposure and Den, and they gotta adapt as sub players who can Shotzzy, sometimes pull out the subs or pull out the AR, because what's happening is sub players, you're trying to provide extreme pressure. But once you die, push up far in the map, your ARs are in fucking hell. Getting pushed by 3 people. They need to figure out how to adapt to how everybody else is playing in the game, or this is not sustainable. Asking Merc to go 40 and 20 every fucking respawn.
That's the legacy savior, man. That's what he does.
Sam, what do you think? Sam, you agree with everybody, or are you kind of on your own here?
I kind of agree with most. I think Ant's reluctancy to use an AR is definitely not helping him struggle at hardpoint at the moment. The S&D today was actually more shocking to me than the respawn gameplay. Optics pretty, like you guys said, bang even, but they're a really good search team, and they kind of got handled in S&D today. That was really the most shocking thing for me from the series, other than Ken obviously fucking frying them. But yeah, I mean, I think Ant is going to be fine. He usually turns up second half of the season regardless, so I'm not really worried about the longevity of the team. Thieves, though, they looked a lot better today, much more composed. I think the full-time AR out of Abe definitely helped slow the game down for them and not look as headless as they did in previous weeks. So the game plan seemed to definitely help, much improved, and hopefully we'll see this performance out of Kenny some more. Obviously, I hope this isn't a one-off. He is playing Optic, and he is the Optic Reaper, so I hope to see this carry forward. But good things to come, I hope. We'll see. But
listen,
the
I don't want to say,
respawn is
man.
worrying for Optic.
I don't want to say it. The AR is OP. And I think no. Listen, let me tell you why. First of all, it shoots way faster than the submachine gun, which is insane. I mean, you have an AR that you can literally do it all with, and you can pick up long range fights with it, medium range. You can win up close fights. You can hit.
Yep, and so things are getting absolutely insane. Let me see. Oh, this is the guy getting pulled out. Here we go. See what they grabbed the guy.
Oh,
you see them all. Oh my God! Look, you know what? You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of a zombie movie. It does. This is like This is like The Walking Dead. Oh my God! Why is this allowed to happen? The reason why it's allowed to happen is because the people that run the government there agree with these people that are out in the streets being violent, so they refuse to actually put police on the ground to stop them from doing this. Basically, they're given free rein to terrorize the other populations of people that disagree with them, and the government just turns a blind eye to it. And this is the way that authoritarianism is wielded in a way that is passive. So being authoritarian can happen in two different ways. Number one, you can enforce the rules like brutally. And number two, you can enforce the rules unequally. So what I mean by that is that if one group of people is getting arrested, and like, what do you think the chances are that the Minnesota police would all be there and the National Guard would all be there shutting this down if this was one person who was protesting against ICE and it was a huge ICE protest and people were all in favor of ICE? I think that they'd instantly have these people over there, right? They'd totally be doing this. This is exactly what happened with the Cultural Revolution in China. Police should be ashamed of themselves. Well, some of the police that are part of Minnesota have roached out and decided to join ICE. Like 23, I think the number was like 23 police officers that were part of the Minnesota police force resigned, and 18 of those police officers decided to join ICE. It's up to 80 now. I'm not surprised. I'm really not. Fuck Zio, he's inciting hate. That's fine. If he wants to incite hate, that's totally up to him. It's his First Amendment right. You know, we live in a country where people like the KKK and the Nazis can go out and have rallies. The same as communists can go out and have rallies. And the moment that you lose that, then you don't have freedom of speech anymore. The problem isn't that people have viewpoints that you disagree with. That's not an issue. The problem is whenever they're acting on it and they're committing violence. That's it. Selective law enforcement is worse than no laws? Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Look at them all. Look at them all. They're going crazy.
You haven't eaten dinner yet?
Yep.
Oh my God.
You guys have
on the right is I think the courthouse. I don't know about that. Odds on Trump sending in the troops. Oh, he's over there. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen. I think they're just letting it happen. Where the hell are the police? Nowhere. The police are not being used because they want to let it happen. They're choosing to let this happen. That's the reason why. They're all wearing masks? Well, yeah, because they're violently attacking somebody. That's the reason why. I mean, of course they're wearing masks. I mean, I'd wear a mask too if I was doing this. So anyway, let's see if I can find a few more of the comments about this, because some of the other things that have been going on are just fucking insane. So yeah, this guy was, I think, stabbed. Let me see if I can find
Your sleep
more
schedule
evidence of
still
this
good?
too, because it's just so
Still waking
fucking
up
deranged.
early or whatever?
And I know that there are some people that are like defending it, saying like this guy is like an agitator. He's somehow like a problem boy or whatever. I don't think that you should do that. I think that's a really, really bad mindset to have, because the moment that you start justifying this and saying that, you know, violently attacking a person like this, let me see if I can find it. Jake Lang. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be doing this. And so, oh no, that's not it. And protester tackle. I'm trying to click on this and find it. So here we go again. There's another one. Neo-Nazi Jake Lang screams about need for a race war and a megaphone, and saved by a mob of white people by a black man. Let me see if I find it.
Let him go. Hey, go, bro. Go. Just go. Just go.
Yep.
Let him go, y'all.
Oh.
Let him go.
You see what? Jesus. 1,000 versus 1? Exactly. Yep. Look, there's blood all over him. Oh my God. Look at all this. Yep. Holy shit. Holy shit. It's literally a mob. It's an actual mob. Wow. He's getting murdered, frozen. It's a peaceful stabbing. Exactly. You've got told the mayor for he told MPD to stand down and rage baited too hard. Well, the thing is that if you are being violent and you're attacking somebody who's peacefully demonstrating something, you are the problem. It doesn't matter whether that thing is making you mad or not. Like, for example, if there's somebody
Is that your dad's video? Have you ever baked muffins before? So like you just put it in like like a sheet pan made for muffins, or do you just kind of like how you do with like cookies? You just put it on like a flat. Okay, so you need a muffin pan, right? Now, do you have to put you know, like how the muffins they come in that like that wrap at the bottom? Like you know where you hold the muffin, like at the like underneath the saucer section or whatever you want to call it, like the mushroom head. Do you have to put like the foil paper or whatever in the pan sheet hole thing, or will it just not stick? Yeah, yeah.
Who is, you know, the KKK and they're doing a protest or a demonstration, then they have every right to do that. But the problem is that you can't take away somebody's First Amendment right just because you disagree with what they're saying. If you could do that, then everybody would be doing this all the time. Like, it's really just that simple. And yeah, these liberals are real Nazis. I think these people behave more like Nazis than the people that they're opposing. I think that's true. I think they're the ones that are creating their own secret police. They're trying to document everybody. They're trying to arrest them. They're destroying property. They're violent. I do. I think that they're doing all the things that they're criticizing Nazis and the ICE for doing. They're doing it all themselves. And it goes back to what I've said before many times, is that these people don't actually have any values. The only value that they really have is people that they're effectively taking. All they want to do is consolidate power and do that to somebody else. Antifa is SA and SS. They're using the same as them. I don't know about that. Trump's degree gave hard men a license to square off with soft men. He's even paying them to do it. Cathartic cinema. I don't know really what this is. This might be something else. And Minneapolis is being confronted and labeled a non.
But that's because the best, but you're actually a brilliant like strategist as far as I can tell.
Thanks.
I always appreciate your work, man. I appreciate what you're doing, and but I want to know more. You know, we talk about Zionism and Israel and Judaism and all of the world. Tape Brown, talk me through to the next step.
What
Thanks, man.
is going on, Patriots? We've got quite a show tonight. I'm excited, but yeah, just happy to be here. Phil, what's going on?
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains on Anti-Communist and Counter-Revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's the big news from the day. We've got Don Lemon responding to Trump's DOJ threat. The Trump DOJ's threat, stands by his coverage of anti-ICE protests at Minnesota church. So we got to slow down and go through where this all begins. And we've got a lot to break down. And this image, I think, really does exemplify it. A group of leftist extremists stormed into a church, disrupting mass and freaking a lot of people out. This photo's gone particularly viral of a scared and crying child with his parents. This is a crime. in fact. And a lot of people are calling for Don Lemon to face charges. Now, appearing on the Benny Johnson show earlier today, Harmeet Dillon confirmed they're pursuing charges and that Don Lemon has no excuse. So to set this up, after tons of people on the right said he should be charged, Don Lemon, all these leftists, but also Don Lemon, Lemon came out and said, I followed a group in and I did journalism. Well, here's what Harmeet Dillon had to say.
We will pursue charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this?
Definitely.
All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Now, she goes on later. Let me see if I can jump to the part where she gets to Don Lemon specifically, which is where it gets interesting. Because initially, it's like, okay, she's just saying all of them, and he's wrapped up in this. And then let me see if I want to. I should get the timestamps. There we go.
Identified. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility, and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy. It isn't. And so, we're getting our ducks in a row. We're putting the facts together. And this is a very serious matter.
Following this, we've got a little bit more to add on to the issue as well. Let me see if I have the tweet pulled up. Here we go. This is what Don Lemon said in a stream before going in that people online are saying is incriminating.
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been pleasantly surprised to see the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this, when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we're like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? Saw the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up, and it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, I can't tell you where they're going.
So that was what he said in the beginning of the stream. He's now responded. Let's pull up his response. Don Lemon stands by his reporting, quote, "It's notable that I've been cast as the face of a protest I was covering as a journalist, especially since I wasn't the only reporter there. That framing is telling. What's even more telling is the barrage of violent threats along with homophobic and racist slurs directed at me by online MAGA supporters and amplified by parts of the right-wing press. If this much time and energy is going to be spent manufacturing outrage, it would be far better used investigating the tragic death of Renee Nicole Good, the very issue that brought people into the streets in the first place. I stand by reporting." Now, he had made comments saying this was a First Amendment issue. Don Lemon defends storming. He says, this is what the First Amendment is about, the freedom to protest. I'm sure people here don't like it, but protests are not comfortable. Well, I got bad news for you, Don. The FACE Act says you can't protest at abortion clinics or places of worship, and it was intended to protect abortion clinics, not places of worship. So when he comes out and says this was the First Amendment doesn't protect your right to storm onto private property and disrupt what they're doing, especially protected groups. These are your rules. These are social progressive rules about protected categories. The 1A that was violated here was the churchgoers who are minding their own business on private property. So it's not going to fly. But the one point I want to bring up, and I'll throw it to the panel, the question is this. Simply put, I'll give you a handful of scenarios. There's a bank robbery about to take place. And a guy says on camera, hey, these guys I just met are going to rob a bank. I'm going to go with them and film what they're doing as they do it. Okay, will that person be criminally charged after the bank robbery? Absolutely. There's no question. He's going to go in. They're going to say you had advanced knowledge of a crime that was being committed. You sought to benefit yourself off it through filming whatever you were doing. That's insane. Now, If the same guy in a different scenario said, I know a bunch of people are going to go obstruct a roadway, they're going to stand in an intersection and link arms together, would that guy be charged? No, it's civil disobedience. The issue is not whether or not you had foreknowledge of a crime, it's the degree of the crime. So Don Lemon had advanced knowledge of a potential felony, conspiracy against rights, Klan Act, and he said, I am going to go in with these people onto private property without permission to film and call it journalism. So I think he is going to face charges. But the big question and the easy question now, which I can throw to Nick, is what do you think would happen if a bunch of Groypers announced they were going to storm into a synagogue and someone who was in support of the Groypers said, I'm going to go and film it all? Do you think that guy would be charged?
Absolutely, and that has happened. It's funny because the other major use of the KKK Act during the Biden admin was against Charlottesville protesters, actually. Charlottesville was in 2017, and I don't know the exact year, but during the Biden admin, you had people being charged 5-6 years later with the KKK Act, saying because they were carrying literally just a lit torch in public, on a street, on a sidewalk, that made it intimidation, that made it a violation of the statute. They threw them in jail. And I would say that this is my frustration with the whole administration. Just put them in jail. Just arrest them. Because when Biden was president and January 6th happened and they locked people up for Charlottesville, they didn't have Merrick Garland going on Rachel Maddow and saying, well, there's a predicate and here's how we're going to justify it and blah, blah, blah. They did shock and awe. That was literally the phraseology they used. Shock and awe. We're coming in the middle of the night to the e-celebs, the influencers, and we're going to throw the book at them. And this administration, there's not like one person that's been charged. In the riots, in the Obama admin, Fauci, a lot of announcements about this, that, and the other, no accountability. So I say you got to just start throwing these people in jail or you'll get more of it.
Yeah, and during the Biden administration, we saw a lot of people go to jail. Trump himself got arrested. His lawyers got arrested. Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro went to jail for a prison. I don't know if it's jail or prison. It's contempt holding, so I don't know what you'd call that one. And so far we've gotten these weak charges on mortgage fraud.
Yep.
That's just potential mortgage fraud.
My concern.
Yeah, I forgot. Like Trump, he got arrested, right? That's how he got that mugshot.
Don Lemon and his cohort was that. Like, what did they do? Like you were saying,
completely forgot about that.
Tim, if it's a bank robbery, that's one thing. If it's going on a protest on a street corner, well, that's another thing. Did they just walk in and yell and leave? Did they hurt somebody?
Let me ask you a question. If a group of people said they were going to break into your house because they wanted to condemn you and surprise you, and Don was like, I'm going to go in with them, is that breaking and entering?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I'm clear. This is a public accommodation. It's a church. So typically you can just walk in and then talk to them. However, if your intention is disruption, you're not invited in. Actually, you know what? I'll do this. A better example is the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. This is a law that's been used to go after tons of hackers over the past 20 years, and it states unauthorized access to a server is a felony. But what is unauthorized access? It's literally been construed as if you have a URL that is, you could type it in and go to it, but they did not give you permission to enter it. They've literally charged people for that. So I know it's online, but the general idea is just because it's a public accommodation you can normally walk into doesn't mean you can walk in with the intention of shutting it down, filming, not getting permission, all of these things.
Understood. It's a crime what they did. I just don't want to see people get overcharged.
Well,
that's my concern. Then the other side or whatever will be like, well, they're political prisoner now, and then they have a sign with Don Lemon's face on it. And it's like, oh my God.
The people who stormed in unquestionably committed a crime. This is private property, and again, progressive rules. This is a protected class. They're in a place of worship, exercising their First Amendment rights to exercise the religion as they see fit on private property with open doors. And these people said, we're going to go in, shut it down, and scream at them. Don Lemon says, I know about this in advance. I'm going to go with them. And we all know that he has sympathies and he agrees with them. That being said, I think they should face the more serious charges under the FACE Act with conspiracy against rights. I think Don Lemon should get a slap on the wrist. I'm not going to sit here and say like Don Lemon should go to prison for 20 years or anything crazy like that. I think he should get a desk appearance ticket and be like, you committed a crime. He should go before a judge. The judge should say, Mr. Lemon, If you ever have advanced knowledge of potential felonies, I advise you not to follow them in the building. You're going to be under 6 months of court supervision. Thank you and have a nice day.
I just put a tweet into the Slack. There's a video of Don Lemon saying it's uncomfortable and traumatic, but that's what protesting is about. If the intent is to intimidate people, which is what he's trying to do by saying uncomfortable and traumatic, but he's committing a crime.
Don't make me defend Don Lemon, bro.
I'm not making you defend him.
He's talking about what they are doing, and I agree that I think I somewhat agree with Ian. You don't want to go crazy and create martyrs and rally people. Don Lemon did something wrong, but he's not an organizer. He's just he's an activist who sympathizes, and he filmed it.
But
so he should go before a judge, and the judge should be like, one more time, and we're locking you up. 6 months court supervision.
But to your point about creating martyrs, like they're going to create a martyr out of him anyways. They're going to treat this as if the left is going to treat this as if it's some massive attack on the First Amendment.
Of course,
that's what they do.
But are you really suggesting you think like Don Lemon should get felony charges and face more than a year in prison for?
I don't know that he should get felony charges, but I do think that he should be charged. And I don't know.
Damn, dog, the videos are bad.
Court supervision usually for first offenses on things like
something
this.
like that.
Ones I hear in the background.
Okay.
So, look, for the people who stormed in, no, I think they should 6 months minimum, maybe longer. You know, it's always wild to me that the criminal justice system wants to put people in prison for a year, 2 years for things like driving.
That
on a
is the
suspended
ultimate
license
Chad, dude.
Part of the reason why I think that they should throw the book at him, though, is because it will actually set precedent that the administration is going to come down. Right now, the administration has a very bad track record so far. People are very upset because there's so many people, like to Nick's point, there's so many people that they were expecting to get arrested. Whether or not there was justification, there's a lot of people that are like, we expected this, we expected that. They should be doing whatever they can to throw the book at them. And I'm not saying they should overcharge them. I'm not saying they should create charges. But whatever they've done, whatever they're found guilty for, they should throw the book at them.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I mean, like, I don't even think we're setting a new precedent. I think we're just continuing the Biden era precedent, which is, again, you have to make examples out of these people because, like, the timeline we're heading down right now is really grim. It's really grim stuff. And these leftists, like, if you can put away a few people, like, on the fringes, that's not enough. You need to send a message to these people that, like, no, look, we are going to break you enough.
I'll give you all this, and I'm curious what you think about it. Don Lemon, during J6, said they're terrorist insurrectionists that should be locked up. He drew no distinction between Steve Baker and there was another journalist, literally from a local news outlet in the South. He had his big corporate camera, those old school SDI ridiculous things, and it was him and like two other Steve Baker and two other journalists. This one guy, they all got charged. Don Lemon never came out and said, "Hey guys, hold on, some of these people are journalists," as far as I know. And if he did, correct me if I'm wrong. I looked for it. I asked our AI friends to try and double check for it. I've seen nothing notable from him in that regard. If his attitude towards the J6ers are everybody who wins the same, there's no distinction of the people who weren't at the riot and walked in or the journalists who were there, they shouldn't have been pardoned, they should have been charged, then I say, okay, Don, I'll see you in prison.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's not even just a message to him, but to the entire left wing.
Yes.
And you're so right. Precedent is the word, because the reason these people are so bold, rioting, looting in Minneapolis, what they're doing right now, the reason they went into a church is because there's never any consequences for the left. There's never any accountability. With the right, and what's funny is what happens with the right, they just get the book thrown at them. There's no defense. Ashley Babbitt, was there a big discussion in the national press about was that justified? Was that overkill? No, absolutely not. But the left knows they get away with literally murder and every other thing. So I think you got to crush them. You got to make an example out of them. And then the next time people think twice and say, I don't know, should we storm the church? You might go to jail like those other people.
And to your point, like, I think the fact that this is a church matters as well, because it is doing, the left does want to intimidate people that are Christians.
Yeah.
They do want to, and this is coming from a guy that's agnostic, right? Generally, I mean, I was raised Catholic, but I'm generally kind of an agnostic guy. And the way that the left operates, they want to do everything they can to intimidate Christians, to intimidate Catholics, because that's why they did the whole, what is it, the Christian nationalist. This is Donald Trump's going to be a Christian nationalist, blah, 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 blah. They want to have Catholics and people of faith, they want them to be demonized, and that was why they did it. So I do think that it's important to really kind of smack this down.
Let's jump to this video. A visibly upset, that's what Timcast News calls it, a visibly concerned Don Lemon asks Minnesota AG Keith Ellison for his 2 cents on possible Klan Act charges. I would just like to stress for the dawn of this new segment the sheer irony that everyone has pointed out of Don Lemon being a gay black man facing charges on MLK Jr. Day for violating the Klan Act. This is beyond sitcom level writing. I have no words, but
Musk
here's
is
the
right.
clip.
The funniest outcome is the one.
I don't even know what's going on these days.
Can you talk to us about now? DL was joking about it, saying he's never been on next to a Klansman. But what is this KKK Act?
Klansman.
Yeah. So the KKK Act is when people will use the threat of force and violence or force of violence to deny you your human rights, your civil rights under the color of law. And so this is, I mean, look, it's a wild stretch and inappropriate. And the FACE Act, by the way, is designed to protect the rights of people seeking their reproductive rights to be protected, and so that people, for a religious reason, cannot just use religion to break into women's reproductive health centers.
So correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that when they wanted to pass the FACE Act, it was to stop people protesting abortion clinics. But that's a one-sided political debate. So they said, and places of worship, which wasn't really happening. That's my understanding of it. I could be wrong. I don't know if you guys have heard something similar.
Says, the FACE Act, or Freedom of Access to Clinical Entrances Act of 1994, is a federal law signed by President Bill Clinton that protects access to reproductive health care facilities and places of religious worship. It prohibits the use of force, threats, force, physical obstruction, or property damage to interfere with individuals making or seeking, providing reproductive health services, or exercising their First Amendment right to religious freedom. This is a slam dunk.
I know. Yeah. The thing you see with a video like this is I don't know why he added under the color of law to that. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding what he's trying to say. But the left, as I think you were pointing out just in the previous segment, we know this. They're going to say whatever they have to say to justify what they're doing. That's it. So if Don Lemon could shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue and they'd say it was self-defense, even if he screamed out, "This is not self-defense, I'm going to shoot a man for no reason." They'd be like, well, he was scared. And then when it comes to, say, Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent, he absolutely was not struck by the vehicle. He had no fear. And then when you get two officials and the DHS saying, "Oh, he had internal bleeding," they go, "So he didn't get run over." Yeah. It's like, right. They will say whatever they have to say to make it work. Even when they now know he was hit, but it wasn't bad. Soon they're going to say it was good that he was hit. In fact, a lot of them are saying it now, and they're saying they wish he got hit harder.
I mean, that's why it would be so beautiful to throw the Klan Act back in their face, throw the FACE Act back in their face. Especially, I know we're running out of time here. The office might be closed, but, if we can get a gay black guy charged on MLK Day with the Klan Act, I mean, it'd be, a really beautiful, poetic thing. But, yeah, I mean, this is what you have to do is the left is, literally, they ran the show for the last 6 years, and the Republicans were literally just the managed decline party. So, again, utilizing these ridiculous laws that they got across the finish line, and again throwing it back in their face. There's a demoralizing effect I think that has on leftists.
So I was just watching. Have you guys seen the show 11/22/63 on Netflix?
No.
It's based on a Stephen King novel. It's like the weirdest show. It's entertaining, but a guy is at a diner, and the guy who owns the diner is like, "My closet is a portal to 1960," and he's like, "Okay." And then they go back to 1960, and the guy's like, "You got to stop Kennedy from getting assassinated," and he's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because then my friends wouldn't have died in Vietnam." And he's like, "All right, I guess." So then he just lives in 1960 for the next few years. And then everything goes wrong. Nothing works, blah, blah, blah. You get a time travel story. And I'm just sitting here thinking, when I hear this and you're mentioning a poetic victory of getting a guy charged, a black gay guy charged with the Klan Act on MLK Day, I'm like, he should have went back in time to 1960 and said, "This is what you're about to do," and show the news. And I'm just imagining, I guess I'm only bringing it up because I watched the show, but imagine what it would be like if you went back to the Civil Rights Act era and said, "In the future, this is the world you are creating." And they're going to be like, "Well, you're all a bunch of retards." That makes the application of law is going to be retarded.
Literally, you probably support it more. They'd be like, the KKK laws about arresting black people.
Dude, you would
I like it.
You would show them when they're about to sign the Hart-Celler Act, and you show them a Costco, they'd be like, "Blow it all up. Get rid of it. This is terrible."
I mean, worse still, there's that video of the crying World War II veteran. Did you guys see this one? Where he's like, "This is not what we fought for."
Yeah, literally.
He's a bridge guy, right?
Was he British?
I think it was, but I
don't know.
Oh, the one in Britain, and then the hosts were like trying to gaslight him. They were like, "Yeah, we'll do our best to like live up to what you were fighting for," and he's just sitting there, just like confused and angry.
Yeah, well, Seamus had one of the best videos from Freedom Tunes where the woke leftists use a time machine to bring World War II veterans to the future to help them fight the Nazis, and then these 3 young World War II soldiers are like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "The Nazis are back," and they're like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, they're trying to ban gay marriage." And then the World War II vet goes, "You allow gays to get married?" Like, yeah,
it's true.
Times there are changing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, they should throw the book at this guy. Again, I don't think they should be overcharged. I don't think it should be precedent where you could legitimately say that they were trumping up charges or whatever. But I do think that if there's any crimes that they've been found to commit, then they should be charged to the fullest extent of the law.
So there was a tweet at Shipwrecked Crew. For those aren't familiar, Shipwrecked Crew is a 22 years as a DOJ prosecutor and representing now January 6th clients or had. And someone said, "I'd love for a Shipwrecked Crew to weigh in on this. I have no doubt Planned Parenthood would push the DOJ as hard as possible to prosecute any arguable FACE Act violation." To which Shipwrecked responded, "I'm 100% sure it is coming. Religious liberty is an issue that Harmeet Dillon was extensively involved in as part of her private practice. Defense of religious liberty is a big issue for her as she has the FACE Act to use."
Yep.
This is her area, and they're saying it's a violation of 1A on Don Lemon's part. No. I know I mentioned this in the previous thing, but I'll say it again. Don Lemon, lesser than the activists who planned it, but yes, this group violated the 1A rights of the churchgoers who are privately worshiping and minding their own business. This is where the government actually seeks to enforce rights.
Yeah.
Don Lemon violated rights, so I think he'll go to jail. I think the odds they're giving it is like 20% that he'll get charged.
Yeah, I really hope that it actually happens because 20% is not enough to make me feel comfortable. There's a tweet that I just put in that kind of put a bow on
Don Lemon could actually go to jail. Don Lemon might actually go to jail. Oh, that's too sweet.
I don't know what her name is.
Jacqueline Welch or something?
And he's saying that they're entitled white supremacists, the people in the church.
Wow, let's play the clip.
You know?
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups
like it's
that,
already
it's not the type of Christianity
a
that
loss
I practice, but I think that they're
when you're
entitled,
trying to
and
be
that
reasonable with
entitlement comes
unreasonable
from
people.
a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America. And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think
That's
people
the only
who are...
reason.
Stop.
The only reason it wasn't perhaps because you had foreknowledge of a misdemeanor at least, or a felony violation of people's rights, and said, we're going to go film this and share it. I want to stress what makes this particularly egregious is that if a group of white supremacists said, we're going to traumatize and surprise and interfere with the rights of a group of black people at a church, and some white nationalist said, I'm going to film that, they'd be like, that's a crime. Like, you're filming the hate crime. That's a crime too. But the way that they view the world is we are perpetual victims fighting against injustice. Yeah. Therefore, we're always allowed to do it our way. You're not allowed to do it your way.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but just the fact that he's calling them white supremacists could possibly be like, well, maybe this was a hate crime too. He hates white people. He's accusing people of being white supremacists just because they're white and religious.
Yeah, well, and like Don Lemon just gives the game away. Like this is this was such like an optical disaster for the left in a lot of ways because it literally is the most obvious example of the two things they hate most, which is Christianity and like Americans, broadly speaking. That's why like the one thing that seems to get these people out on the street more than anything else is ICE, because ICE is attempting to like reverse this like replacement migration that's been going on for the last 60, 70 years. And they
Okay. Yeah. Well, right now I really like cooking like a stir fry. So just well, at first I just boil some spaghetti noodles. Then once that's done, I let it strain in a separate pot. I cook some beef strips. Once the beef strips are cooked, well done basically, I take them out, set them aside. Then I just throw in some Asian style like frozen vegetables in there. I cook those for about maybe 5-10 minutes so they're kind of texture that I want them. And once that's done, I throw everything back into the pot. So I throw the beef back in, the spaghetti, and then I have like a sauce that I make. And I put that in there and I put it on low and it's not like a it's just like something that I made. It's like soy sauce and like different shit in it.
They hate that. They hate that because they hate themselves, and so by extension.
So what about you? Nice. What's your favorite thing to cook? Yeah.
They hate the U.S. That's why you're seeing like white people on the streets protesting. And so again, this is like just a complete obvious. It's like the most obvious example of what they actually fear the most. Again, which is like Christianity, which is immigration enforcement. It's really egregious.
I actually think what we're seeing in terms of racial politics was an inevitability and was obvious to anybody paying attention. And we had talked about it on this show several years ago. I talked about it on my morning show. But let's open up like this. There was an article a while ago from Sacramento Public Schools or something. I don't know if you saw this. They were advocating for white racial affinity groups. And it was a progressive argument.
The newest thing.
The progressive argument was that white people needed to understand white history. I'm sure they were going to say negative things about it. But it was a school. In Sacramento saying, we are going to gather all the little white kids together and give them their own group. And I said, what do you think those kids are going to do when you put a group of white kids in a room and say, here's why you're all bad? They're going to look around at each other and be like, I don't think I'm bad. You're not bad. You're my friends. I like you. We like each other. And they're going to say, hey, these people are bad. They're bad. And then they're going to attach their anger to their race instead of social issues, economic issues, political issues. They are creating this. So I look at it actually very, very simply mathematically. If you have a majority population, and historically minority populations are disadvantaged in a variety of ways, once the white population gets to a certain threshold, 60%, 65, 70%, they're going to start feeling pressure. It's not just that. You expect it to be, no. As soon as America's 49% white people get angry. No, because in Chicago, for instance, a good example, you have areas
Maybe you're meant to be on the carnivore diet.
And there are some white people who live there. Those white people are discriminated against and they become racist because on the surface, that seems to be the issue. You get the white population down to where it is now. You're starting to see affirmative action.
I mean, yeah, if you like eating basically like
what's going
steak,
to happen is it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong.
So you could just eat
that.
that.
Or the oppressor.
You're gonna
people
be
don't
all right.
like being pushed around, and you're going to get an increasing number of white people saying, "Stop yelling at me," and it's going to create white racial identity politics.
Well, yeah, I think that the diversification of America makes that an inevitability because people define themselves by distinction. I think that when the country was 90% white in the 60s, for example, people didn't even think of it as a white country. That's just what a country is. I wake up, I see all white people, that's what a country is. And the way they thought about diversity and immigration is, well, we could tolerate a white country with some non-white people. But ever since 2012, it's 50-50, non-white versus white births. So Generation Z, Generation Alpha, they're growing up in classrooms, neighborhoods. It's not white. It's some white people, some non-white people. It's a total mix. And now they're starting to say, no, I'm a white person in a diverse country. I'm a white person in a Mexican neighborhood. I'm the only white kid in an Indian neighborhood. You almost become more white the less white the country becomes.
Right.
And the thing is, I don't even think it's bad that the country's becoming majority non-white. And I think it's a good thing that people are developing a consciousness because I think that's the only basis that they can stick up for themselves is as a group.
Why do you think it's bad the country's becoming less white?
Because I think it makes the country less cohesive, and I think it destroys the identity of the country. You know, America was founded by white people, built by white people. The culture that America had was generated by European civilization, and I think that when it becomes majority non-white, you're going to get a very different kind of country in every way.
What if it was, let's just say, all Native American, but they were all like the most diehard conservative constitutionalists who were like the founding fathers were the greatest thing that ever happened to our land? Would you disagree with that? Is that worse?
I would, because then we'd all be living in teepees and riding on horses.
I'm making it about the racial component. If it was 300 million Native Americans and like the white people just like didn't have babies and moved to Iceland or something, the Native Americans said we're going to build skyscrapers, we're going to play baseball, bake apple pies, we're going to praise the founding fathers and the Constitution. Is that still bad?
Well, that's just it. I don't think that it's interchangeable. That's really kind of the key word, because whenever people talk about race, they say, is it skin deep? And some people say, well, what if the person's skin was black? Or what if the skin was red or yellow or brown or whatever? But I don't think that Indians or, Amerindians, whatever you want to call them, I don't think they will be building skyscrapers. I don't think they have liberalism, center-right liberalism. I don't think they have any of that.
Well, but this is why I ask the very obviously impossible hypothetical of if the only difference was skin deep, would that be a worse off nation?
Well, it wouldn't be the same nation is the point. I wouldn't feel at home, let's say. If Chicago was all Indians running around, I would be a minority and I would feel deeply uncomfortable because, home for us is familiarity. We like seeing familiar faces like our mom and dad and our uncles and grandparents. We like the food and the culture we grew up with. And if it's all Indians, well, they're going to be doing their Indian thing and it's their home, not ours.
But that's the hypothetical. If they were making apple pie and playing baseball with you and were in every how about this? Every white person, a genie appears and he's like, I'm going to make everyone Indian. And then every white person just goes, whoa, I'm Indian now. Is the country worse off because of that? Like you become an Indian, the culture is identical in every way. They love the Constitution, the founding fathers. They're all Catholics and Christians or whatever. Is that bad?
I feel like that's a stupid hypothetical.
Well, then I guess it would be the same. If I'm a white person in a white country and I'm an Indian in an Indian country, I benefit. But we don't have to look at a hypothetical because America was a white country and now it's going to be a non-white country.
Well, this is
it's like, well, why even do the hypothetical? It's like just look around the world. Like every non-white country is basically a shithole.
White was the default. People didn't view themselves as white largely because everybody was.
Right.
And so they were basically otherized, and now they want to take that power away from white people.
Yes.
The inverse argument on the other side is, well, this is a country built by white European people. Colonizers came to this land, conquered or traded and developed it. So why should we give it away?
Yeah.
To Nick's point, I was watching Dad Saves America, and Schellenberger was on. He was talking about actually Venezuela, but he mentioned how the different cultures around the world are very different from from Western culture. And he was talking about, I'm retweeting the tweet now if anyone wants to go to my X page and check it out. But like he was saying, look, if you're in India, right, you don't pay the electric company directly. You pay your landlord, and he goes and he bribes the electric company. He's like, if you're in South America and you get a job, the guy that gives you the job expects you to give him like a vig for the entire time that you work there, like 10, 20%. So it really does matter the culture that you come from. And we've talked about this before, if you bring enough people from a different culture into the United States, you will change what the United States is. We don't have magic soil, you know?
I think the challenging thing for a lot of conservatives, actually, liberals totally get it, is that for your average person, let me start with the George Carlin joke. Think about how stupid the average person is. Now realize half of them are stupider than that. I know people are going to say, Tim's calling people dumb, but most people make judgments based off of appearance, first and foremost. This is the first thing you learn in sales. How you appear to the person you are trying to sell. If I was going to try and approach Ian and I saw the guy walking down the street, I'll put it like this. If I had a sales team and Ian was the customer, I would not send Nick in his suit and tie to try and sell Ian. I would send probably Phil or Tate with a more relaxed look. Appearance is the first thing people go to, and that means race, and that's why there is racism. It's not that there can't be, like an Indian guy born in America who loves America, believes in the founding father, just looks different. It's that people in Chicago being a really great example of this, people choose to segregate. The question is why? And how do you change it? And that was the liberal experiment they have failed at time and time again, which never worked. Now, I think it's fair to say, in the true sense of classical liberalism, we wish that were the case, and we want there to be everybody holding hands under a rainbow. When it comes to the instance of if I see somebody like disparage a racial group or particularly like someone I know or a person, I'll be like, that's not okay. Generalizing an entire group of people because of one person you don't like is bad. The problem is, go to Chicago and ask the people there to do the same. Be it the white working class, the Polish immigrants, the Ukrainian, the Italian, the black community, or the Latino community, they're not going to do it. You go to the black neighborhood, and they're going to call you racial slurs. And depending on which neighborhood it is, where there's a lot of gangbanger territory, which is where I grew up near, you could get shot and killed. There are some gangs that have forced initiation. If you're born in their neighborhood, you have to join the gang. And in order to join the gang, you have to kill somebody. And so there have been instances where a 20-year-old gangbanger, it will be a black guy, he'll go up to a 13-year-old black kid, hand him a gun, and say, go shoot that mug. And it'll be just some white guy walking down the street. And they'll be like, because you got to kill somebody to get in. It can be that wild. Typically, it's somebody they want dead. So there have been instances where, again, I grew up near the LeClaire Courts, historic gang territory, literally 2 blocks away. You cross that street, you're going to get they're going to beat the crap out of you. Or, famously, the cops would pull, like the white person walking in a black neighborhood, cops are going to pick you up and drive you back and say the only reason white people go here is for drugs. So how do we function as it's a challenging question that liberals seem to recognize but don't ever want to address publicly?
Yeah, you have to separate race and culture and acknowledge that there is genetic differences in different what you want to call races that have accrued over time, millennia, thousands of years, due to nutrition and sunlight, all sorts of, elevation, whatever. Like Asian people, for instance, have that fold in the eye that blocks the wind.
It's true. It's because of the wind.
Yeah.
It's because of that plateau or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and the people...
Because you brought this up. The fox had it too.
Yeah.
And it looked like some Chinese guy. But
Totally.
It was a fox. No, but it did. And we pulled it up. What was the fox called?
The Tibetan fox.
And then you said something like, I wonder if it's because of the wind.
Yep.
And then we looked up and literally it says the fox and Asians have the slanted eyes because of high winds.
And people with the darker skin probably get a lot more sunlight near the equator.
Yeah, you don't have, black people don't get melanoma.
Getting like dark skin doesn't just make you behave well, this is like a conversation that I don't even know if I'm scientifically equipped to actually talk about, like literal genetic difference. Like, does darker skin, I think we talked about melatonin, correlate with more violence? Is that true? We did some study that had some correlation in violence between...
So
the whiter an animal got, the less violent it got. It was a very strange study.
Yeah, they did 2 experiments, rats and foxes. and they bred them for to be. It was like a domestication experiment. The aggressive animals would not get food, or they wouldn't be bred, or something like this. I think what they did was both. The most aggressive got bred, and the least aggressive. And the least aggressive chain ended up losing their melanin production and becoming white and spotty. And the interesting thing was, this is a research study. I'm not telling you what it means. It's just what they found. But man, did the AI try everything in its wordy, weird power to try and claim it wasn't true and didn't exist. And we were like laughing at it like, dude, I'm not going to discriminate against a person based on their race because you did a study.
So my take here, Nick, I'd love to get your take on this too, is that in the United States, the black people, not everybody, but just for the last 150 years, they're descendants of slaves. So they had poor nutrition. They were basically thrown out on the street with lack of education. And generation after generation, they've come from this tumbling mess of, chaos of slavery. Had it been 2,000 years ago and the black people of Africa had enslaved a bunch of white northerners and then they were let out on the street, maybe it's not so much about skin color, but it's about like how the last 150 years of your ancestry has been treated. I'd like to get your take on.
Well, I think it's that is really the question, because you have these persistent disparities in everything: education, wealth, income, and then crime and educational attainment, all that kind of stuff. And the question is, why are these things the way they are? And the answer is, if everybody starts in the same way, the kind of blank slateism, which says that we're all born equal, we're all the same, and we all end up every year in different places. And let's say it's Asians on top, whites next, Hispanics, then blacks. People say, well, something must have happened in the middle for these disparities to arise, which would be racism. And I would say it's less interesting maybe how we got to an unequal position, rather than first to say we are in an unequal position and say, why is it that the black people struggle to read in Baltimore? Why are the crime rates so bad? And you could say, well, when you test their IQ, it's a full standard deviation lower. And some people say, well, that's because the white people had winter and the black people are hunter-gatherers. And other people say, well, it's, maybe it's a nutritional thing, because that does influence IQ and the rest of it, brain size and all of it. Fact of the matter is, that's where we are. That's the case.
I think one of the issues I take with a lot of the generalized racism is that a Somali black person is not the same as a Haitian black person. And so when you just
they're kind of similar.
But Haitians are like 6'5", and Somalis are like 5'3". And my point is, when you just say black, white, or otherwise, I mean, a Slavic Eastern European versus like a Northern Spanish person are going to be pretty different, but everyone's going to call them white. The question is, what's interesting about it is whether you're from, like, Chicago being the example of chosen racial segregation. While I think it's important to point out when we're talking about IQ and reading levels, Nigerians who migrate here tend to do very, very well. But that's because the best, smartest Nigerians are able to afford to migrate. So then you'll see when they say like, oh, it's, in the school in like Harvard, they were finding Asians scored the highest, followed by whites. Then I think it was Latino, then black. But you'll find like 2 or 3 black people who scored super high, and it's like wealthy Nigerian from like a wealthy family. But the point is, in a place like Chicago, when families move from Africa, no matter which country it is, if their skin tone is black, they choose to go into an area where everyone has a darker complexion. And white people choose to go in areas of whiter complexion. Latinos choose to go in areas where there's other Latinos. The interesting thing about the Brandon Johnson election that we covered on the show was, and you should, I don't know if you looked this up. Did you look at the electoral map compared to the racial demographics?
I did, yeah.
1 for 1.
Yep.
Only one deviation. The only neighbor that didn't vote based on race was the Loyola progressive socialist area, which was largely white and voted for the black candidate. Every black neighborhood, their top 3 candidates were black, even if the second and third choice wasn't a contender. It was like someone polling at 0.2% was the third most voted for person in the black neighborhoods. The white neighborhoods voted for the white guy, Hispanic voted for Hispanic, and black voted for black. And the only reason Johnson won was because Loyola neighborhood woke leftists voted for the black socialist. You can say anything you want about racism. You can talk about every ideal you have. You can talk about how the world is supposed to be. You can say whatever you think people want to hear. You can lie and claim you're an activist. These realities exist. And all these liberals that are trying to say blank slate and otherwise, I just say to them, look, I'm never going to hold someone back because of their race, prop them up. A person is a person. But you're not going to be able to advance this realistically when you can go to any city and people choose to segregate based on race. Now, that being said, I want everyone to look at this Tibetan fox.
Oh, so Tibetan.
So
Yeah, I think Ian was like, you got to look at the Tibetan fox because he's got Asian eyes.
He looks like a wise Chinese man.
Does,
Well,
dude.
he is, of the foxes.
Yes,
You know, the other foxes go to him for wisdom.
He looks like you, Tim.
See, that's you know what's funny, though, is that's also to the left racist. To say that an old Asian person just has more wisdom.
Oh, yes.
It's positive discrimination.
So true.
But no, we looked it up. And it's true. The reason they have the folded eyes is because of the high winds in that plateau region. And it's also why Asians have that as well. But we should talk more about news. And I want to jump to this story because of what's going on in Minneapolis. The New York Times wrote a story called Minneapolis Feels, quote, like being in a civil war. That wasn't the original headline. The original headline was, in Minneapolis, I glimpsed a civil war. And I think they changed the headline because, well, the opinion writer really meant it. And the New York Times probably got freaked out by what it actually meant. Now, of course, if you read the article, your time will largely be wasted. But, oh, it looks like this is a different, is it a different article? Maybe I pulled up the wrong article. Let me see if I can find the other one. Because I covered this, no, it looks like this, now it's an interview. They're interviewing the person who wrote it.
I feel like Ross Douthat has actually touched on this subject before.
Yeah, I'll try. There was another article that I was reading this morning that maybe is the reason why I didn't pull it up. Maybe it's, oh, okay, no, I thought they changed the title. I was wrong.
Oh, cool.
In Minneapolis, I glimpsed the Civil War. Right, here you go. And the gist of it is pretty clear. ICE is evil, Trump's waging war, blah, blah, blah. Their take is that they have experiences with civil wars and they're watching it. Now, I use this as a launch pad to show you what's going on and to talk about what's expected to happen. And I want to show you this clip first.
The blue tsunami means that Congress is going to haul Elon Musk, big balls, and a bunch of other people's ass in front and say, what crimes did you commit? And it's going to get really serious. And the same with Trump, because I believe, and this is just my opinion, that Trump and all of the bottom-feeding morons surrounding him and Elon Musk and all the bottom-feeding clinger-oners that surround him, I think they commit crimes every day. And I think to reconcile all of this is going to take hardcore, not integrity Democrats. Fuck you, Democrats. Fuck you for fucking over our country. We are serious about this. We are prosecuting. We're going to uncover every document, every phone call, everything you did. We will be relentless about it. And that's the mindset they've got to have, because I think the electorate is going from, we've got to get him out, but also we want accountability.
There has to be accountability. You have to have a situation where there's accountability. And I talked about this the other day with Fanone, the former MPD police officer who almost got killed on January 6th. You know, he said, and I think it's true, that it's more than just the Dems win back the Congress and the White House. We have to change this John Roberts Supreme Court decision that gave the President of the United States a blank check. No man or woman should be above the law. In this.
So we've got prosecute Trump and the people around him. Okay.
She's
then we have this.
saying, show me the man, I'll show you the crime.
Exactly. I was thinking the exact same thing. You know what I'm going to do first? I want to pull up this tweet from me because I was seeing a bunch of things going on in Minneapolis. And so I'm just sitting there and then I was thinking about it. I tweeted out. I X-posted. What I'm seeing in Minneapolis is crazy. They're attacking pedestrians. They're storming churches. And then I get this flag, a potential community note.
Damn, dog, you haven't eaten
yet?
No
evidence any of this is actually happening. So I've got it right here. Here's the tweet. The things I'm hearing out of Minneapolis are insane. Activists forcing their way into churches, attacking random pedestrians, stalking SUVs.
Got to eat your dinner, dog.
Community notes. Okay, what did they say? There is no verified evidence of activists forcing entry into churches or broadly attacking pedestrians in Minneapolis. Local police and major news outlets report no such pattern and urge reliance on confirmed information.
Almost
the fact that there's videos of them storming the churches. We've shown photos of it already. Hermie Dillon says she's potentially, she actually is pursuing charges. And then there's this, a video of a pedestrian being attacked for wearing a hoodie that says freedom on it. And that looks like an Indian guy.
Yeah. Yeah, W protesters on this one.
Could this be construed as a sexual assault?
Oh, yeah, like take it off.
They're making a guy take his hoodie off in the winter in Minnesota.
I mean, look, man.
My bigger complaint is that hoodie doesn't fit him.
This is terrible for the left, and I love it. You know.
So here's a pedestrian getting attacked because his hoodie said freedom. Here's a video of white people. They're eating lunch, and activists think they look like ICE and begin, let's just say, berating them and threatening them.
This is so cool. I mean, so cool as in a life event. This has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I know, it's like, you feel like a zoo. I've never.
Soda in the country.
filming us? Why are you filming? Because you're filming us. Cheers.
So you can't really hear what they're saying, and the whistling's really loud, but he's saying we do app development for a variety of businesses, and we don't even support ICE. You hear people say several times, if you're not with us, you're against us. I gotta say, the whistling really sounds very short bussy. You know what I mean? Like, it's a
So
group
true.
of really dumb people just blowing whistles, and I'm just like, well, I think they're all retarded. Here's another video. Here's a video. This is Commander Bavino confirms anti-ICE riders are destroying private vehicles of civilians, thinking they're ICE. Mayor Frey and Tim Walz haven't said a freaking word to help put a stop to this. So that's going on. And then what do we have here? We have this Hakeem Jeffries adding on. We're going to get some indictments. We're going to charge people. Here's Jake. This is Jake Lang, right? That's his name. Jake Lang getting attacked by a bunch of leftists.
I heard this guy was dragged into the crowd and stabbed. Is that true?
He said that someone tried stabbing him, but they hit his vest, so he didn't get injured. That's my understanding. So anyway, the point is this: on the podcast, they're saying you're going to jail, and on the streets of Minneapolis, they're beating people, destroying random vehicles, stealing rifles out of federal agents' vehicles, and threatening pedestrians. There's a video, a photo going viral where it's allegedly from Will Stansel saying there's a SUV with press written on the back, and he's like, "You need to pull over for us and give us your credentials, because you are acting like ICE." They've begun to act like de facto government authority, and I warned it was going to happen. Remember when I said, you'll hear a doorbell ring, you'll go to the door, and there'll be a clown through your peephole holding up a rainbow sheet of colored paper that says clown warrant on it, and he's going to say, "I'm the clown police, open your door," and you're going to go, what? Like, you don't recognize clown police. You would not open the door for this person. These people are already saying, pull your car over. They're telling people in restaurants, harassing them, "Who are you? What are you doing?" We are getting to the point where you're going to walk down the street and some leftist with a communist badge or whatever is going to say, "You're being detained. We're in control now." And then again, if Democrats win, these people are on their side.
They're going to have the Obama 08 logo as an armband. Marching down the streets enforcing Islam and socialism. But it is true. And here's the problem with Trump. This is why I didn't vote for him. I knew that this administration has no balls, does not have the will to do it. And you want to know how you knew they have no balls? When Charlie Kirk got shot, they didn't do nothing to Antifa, to the far left, any of these people. And the problem is the administration is pissing them off. It's provoking them, agitating them. The Letitia James stuff, the James Comey stuff, they're poking the left in the eye, but they have no real way to use the federal government. They're not wielding it properly or efficiently. And so what Jim Acosta said, that is a little window into the future. The left is going to take back the House. They're going to subpoena everybody, impeach everybody, prosecute everybody. They're going to come in 28. Maybe they're going to win, and then they're going to bury us. So the problem with Trump is he's barking up the wrong tree. You either destroy the left or they get in and then they destroy us. It's that simple.
Nick, do you think that these kind of videos are going to have any effect in the fall? Like, because this is something that's broadly unpopular with the American people, and there's so much awful imagery for the left coming out. Do you think that this actually would affect people in midterms? I personally think that it would affect if it was a presidential election. Do you think that it'll get people out in the midterms?
Absolutely not. No, because these are left-wing people that are activated. And that's what happens. When the incumbent is in charge, they always lose seats in the midterms. They always lose seats in the House in particular 2 years later. And that's because the left or the opposing party always gets animated and charged up. They get activated by those hot-button issues. So these are the same people. These are the shock troops for the legions of the blue wave. They're going to come in 26 in the fall, and we're going to get buried. What is it, like a 3-seat majority? We lose the House, it's curtains. They're going to jam up everything, and then they are going to destroy us. And the difference is the left does not play. No. They said, we need FU Democrats. That's all they've ever been. That's what Biden did. That's what this is going to be. And we are all toast when that happens. So for me, I look at the left, and people are saying, I saw that tweet. They said, well, Tim Walz isn't doing anything. Dude, Trump is the president. Isn't this our golden age? Bring in the feds, bring in the troops, shut it down. It's your country. But, you know, our people are not serious. They're playing games. They're giving speeches, doing interviews. They got to send in the troops and crush these people. That's what it's all about. But they're going to wait for them to march.
These activists have been disrupting law enforcement for a decade plus, and the repercussions are always slap on the wrist, minor charges, rubber bullets. ICE is out enforcing real law. They're not doing crowd control, so they're armed with lethal munitions. And these activists, because they've never felt consequences, quote, why did you have real bullets? They think they're playing a game. They think they're playing cops and robbers.
You know, I don't think we should send in the troops. I'll tell you why. I think that the goal of there's Saul Alinsky's rule for radicals. The left, the communist momentum wants the government to establish a fascist crackdown so they can say, "See, we told you they're fascist," and then rally a communistic communal revolution against the government. That's my main concern.
Well, Nick, I was going to say, just as far too as like antagonizing the left. I mean, don't you think they would sort of escalate this way anyway, even with or without Trump in office? Because like I look at the Trump administration, I'm like, look, whatever concerns anyone may have, it's at least buying us time, it's giving us breathing room, and for me that means it's worthwhile to throw support behind. I mean, like net negative migration is like huge, I would say, going forward.
I don't feel a lot of breathing room right now. And I think that, you know, there's arguments that like, well, when a Republican's in charge, it buys us time to organize and do things like that. But it's like Elon bought Twitter when Biden was in charge. Censorship got relaxed when Biden was in charge. I feel like the right was never more powerful than a year ago or 2 years ago in 2024. That's when we were at our like apogee. And when Trump gets in power, it's the opposite. Like all the censorship happened in Trump's first term. Charlottesville happened in his first term. BLM happened in his first term. The vax was created in his first term. And, you know, you're right. The left probably would have gotten charged up anyway. I think, though, that let's say Trump lost the election in 24. Kamala gets in. I don't think they have as much momentum, because the difference is if it's like a continuation of the Democrats, there's still this like right-wing anger saying this is an illegitimate government. Kamala never won a primary. If she brings us to war, doubly so, no one believes the election's legit. But Trump wins, and now the right wing is complacent because the right wing says, we won, let's go home. They, you know, you think people are doing something with the breathing room. They're not. The left is breathing. The left is getting excited. And I would have supported Trump if I had confidence that he would use what he gets to actually like blow up some of these agencies and departments, prosecute the left, deport 10 million people. But it's like we're playing games waiting for them to get back in power, and then they don't play games. And to your concern about, you know, the communists are going to rally, it's like if we get a fascist takeover, they're all going to jail. Like, identify these people, put them in jail, watch them, monitor them. If they did it to the right, we could do it to the left. I think we need to play to win, because if we just wait around for them to use power, they do. They're not worried about being fascists.
Yeah. I think what you're describing predicts Democrats will take over. They will begin to go tenfold harder than we've already seen them go, which is insane. I mean, they arrested Donald Trump several times, and his lawyers. The right will then have a massive reaction. It would, if this does come to full-scale civil war, it seems that the prediction is it will be with Democrats in control of government and right-wing splinter groups at the state level, you know, breaking apart, which I think was Rudyard's prediction, effectively. Is that what he said, or did he? Yeah, he said the people's. What did he say? Like the People's Congress would be in Austin or something, and then like.
Yeah.
I think I could be wrong. So Rudyard, correct me. I think he was saying the Democrat faction would be in D.C. and the conservative faction would be in Austin, and those would be the main centers of resistance. And then I argued at the time, because I think it was just after Trump won, that it would actually be the Democrats would be New York and the Republicans would be D.C. Based on your argument, I'm not so sure anymore exactly what would happen, but it does seem like you were right. The right won't fight because they view it very hierarchically. Trump is in charge. It's over. We won.
Yep.
The Democrats are decentralized, and they're like, we're going to just rip everything to shreds at every granular level. And so you need that grassroots right now for local elections to help Trump win, especially in the midterms. It's not there.
Did you see, instead of voting for Trump, did you vote for somebody else?
No, I just didn't vote. I just held back because I think that, it was established going into this that Trump wasn't going to be serious. He wasn't going to keep his promises. And the Republicans need to know that they need to pander to their base, not just the other side, not to the middle, not to the minorities, these non-conventional GOP voters. They need to appeal to the far right. And this is why we're getting what we're getting. And, by the way, Trump is getting rich off this. Trump got rich off Trump coin. Kristi Noem is getting rich off DHS. Corey, all these people are making tons of money off the contracts. Meanwhile, you got this kind of stuff going on. And it's like, at the end of the day, Trump can pardon himself and all his people. We don't get pardons. We're boned. When the left gets in, there's no refuge. We're just screwed. So I just wish that, everything that they say about Stephen Miller and Trump and Vance was true. Because what they say is when Charlie Kirk got shot, Stephen Miller got up at his thing and said, "We build things. You are nothing. We're coming after you." All that talk, all that flapping his gums on TV, and then, you're getting made to be the bitch in Minneapolis, in Trump country. They're storming churches, blowing up hotels, going outside ICE hotels, blowing their stupid whistles. It's like, we should bury these people right now, but, they won't do it. They're playing games.
I think, I just wonder, as they've argued, Biden's pardons are absolute and Trump can't do anything about it. What would happen if Trump did a blanket, anyone who ever voted Republican is hereby pardoned of all crimes and all sentences commuted?
Yeah, they'll ignore it. The left will absolutely say that.
I know. It would be interesting because if Trump did that, let's say it's December 20th, something he does this, he's like, I got 1 month left. It would be honored until that month later, but that would release everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no question that if Trump, I'm sure that at the end of Trump's term, he's going to do a bunch of pardons, trying to cover his bases, and they're going to ignore it. They're going to come up with some way to delegitimize him, and they're going to just wrap people up. There's no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen. If J.D. Vance or whoever's the guy, the conservative.
We'll see though. There's a few things that are happening that I think indicate a title change, and we'll go this route. Maybe I can pull up this as a lead. You guys see the cease and desist on the TPUSA story?
Yeah.
So let me pull this up from the greatest news agency of all time, Times of India, because they actually write these stories. Terrible ideas. Candace Owens blast TPUSA legal letter claim as Erica Kirk and YouTuber fuel fresh controversy. So this is a story about a guy who. Hey, look.
Hey. Who's that handsome guy?
You made it.
There's a YouTuber who made a bunch of ridiculous claims about the finances of TPUSA, who claims to be an accountant. He argued that they were they were sending money to a parking lot. The parking lot was obviously just the parking lot of a major business complex, but saying parking lot is sensational. So they sent him a cease and desist letter. Candace Owens came out and said it was a terrible idea. But there are questions even now people are asking about. Particularly someone super chatted about if Candace Owens is to destroy the moderates on the right, why would we have Nick Fuentes on, for example? Well, for all of the criticisms people have of you, you were calling out Candace Owens quite early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think what's happening is, whether intentional or otherwise, let me start here. In the previous segment, we were talking about what's going to happen when Democrats take power. They're going to lock people up. There was an argument that there's going to be a title change, and that's CBS. So you've seen what's happened with CBS.
Yes.
Barry Weiss took over. CBS has now started to balance their coverage. It's pretty bland, which is what it's supposed to be. But Barry Weiss is a proud Zionist. Candace Owens is as anti-Zionist as you could be, but also nuts. The bifurcation that's being created, whether intentionally or otherwise, make that argument all you want, is that the corporate press at CBS now, which is one of the most viewed news companies and programs that in the country, and in the world probably, is... I'll give you an example. On the Somali daycare fraud, the story came out and said 62 convictions, 92 arrests from the Biden DOJ. Somali fraud is real. And I'm sitting here being like, well, okay, there we go. It's real. While CNN says investigators claim daycares are running totally normally, still doing their weird, woke, liberal take or whatever. The play that seems to be happening, again, whether intentional or otherwise, is that for some reason Candace Owens is recommended to regular people who aren't involved in politics. And you'll go on to YouTube. They're telling you to watch Candace Owens' show. She's telling you that Charlie was a time traveler, that Elon Musk is a robot. These are not exaggerations. Charlie may have been a time traveler, and that agents were trying to stop him from changing his outcome. It's really gotten to the insane level.
Guess no dinner for you
If this
tonight,
continues,
dog.
and I want to stress this, I'm not saying this is conspiracy theory. Its intention is meaningless. Candace Owens is capturing the anti-Zionist faction and saying stupid retard things. CBS News is targeting the moderates who left the left and joined the Republicans. I actually think this may show a uniparty shift in that they've realized, for the sake of the military-industrial complex, for the sake of Israel, TikTok we see this with, going the woke route has failed them. So now they want to poison the anti-Zionist faction with stupidity, as dumb as the woke people were saying. I don't call it woke right, though. It's not the same thing. And they want the moderates, the Tim Pools, the Joe Rogans to be like, oh, what CBS is doing is fantastic, run by a proud Zionist who's going to have that slant. This says to me that I'm not so sure Democrats get into power and actually start doing all of these arrests. Sounds to me like what's going to happen is the narrative shift is happening as such so that the MAGA people will be turned into the correct military-industrial complex establishment faction, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, it's been happening to me. The more I get opened up to the liberal economic order, I sort of take it as like you got BRICS and you got the liberal economic order, and they're both vying for control of the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal, and so they set up shop. What's that?
And Greenland for the same reason.
And Greenland. So they set up shop in the Middle East, and I'm like, look, I don't like being Israel's bitch. I don't want to be another country's bitch. I don't get sucked into war for regime change, but I understand American hegemony in controlling that Suez Canal. And I'm like,
Greenland is for the Northwest Passage. Panama is for the Panama Canal. Israel is for the Suez Canal.
Okay, Nick, to be honest, I don't know what your thoughts are right now on everything, but that's kind of where my head's at, is like, maybe I should allow for this military conquest of the Middle East and be happy that we have
But
cheap goods
attaching that to, do you think this vibe shift, right? Trump's going for Greenland, and they're acting like they're angry about it. I'm pretty sure the military-industrial complex loves what Trump is doing.
Oh, yeah.
Venezuela.
100%. And that's because, the military-industrial complex is permanent. It's a permanent bureaucratic state. And so the goals never change. And what has happened, what's remarkable about Trump, is one of the only things that has staying power about Trumpism is the pivot against China. Because Trump runs in 2016 and says, no, China's a real threat. We have to end free trade, put tariffs on them, and seriously confront them in the Pacific. And if you look at the Biden administration, that's one of the only things that holds over is the tariffs against China, arming Taiwan, sending Pelosi over there, actually undoing strategic ambiguity about whether we would defend them.
Yeah.
And so when you look at Greenland, Venezuela is the new Monroe Doctrine. That's Laura Richardson, who was the CENTCOM commander under Biden. That's like a Biden-era policy to push China out of Latin America. So they love seeing Maduro go. Greenland is sort of the same thing. Now that the North Pole is melting, like you said, all these sea routes are opening up, the Northwest Passage, Northern Sea Route, the Trans-Arctic Sea Route, and Greenland is going to be really good real estate. And the reason Trump wants it is because if Denmark owns it, they can't defend it. If they can't defend it, China's going to take it. I mean, they got designs on it.
And it's hard for us to tax and control the rates for ships moving through our passage.
Well, and I think more importantly, if it's not our clay, China and Russia won't take it seriously. Just like with Ukraine. Ukraine wasn't a NATO member, so Russia tested. They pushed the line. Greenland is, it's Denmark, but it's semi-autonomous. Is it protected by Article 5? Will Washington go to war with China if there's an incursion in Greenland? They will test it. So it does need to be our territory. And you're so on the money about that. It's Panama. I wouldn't even say Suez. I would say Red Sea. Because what's happening is in Yemen, there's a battle between the Emirates and Saudi Arabia. In Somalia, it's a battle with Somaliland and Mogadishu, and the Emirates and Israel are backing up Somaliland because they want a port there. In Sudan, the Emirates are backing the Rapid Support Forces. They want a base at Port Sudan. They want to control the Red Sea. Yep. So, and Iran, it's the Strait of Hormuz. So it does all come down to these choke points, and all the countries are lining up in World War III, basically China versus the United States.
It seems like there's a conflation between the Zionist movement of creating a homeland for the Jews and the military-industrial complex's alignment to control the Suez and the Red Sea, and that maybe what you're saying, that
Oh. Oh. Oh, fuck. Jesus. Yeah. This. What's this?
The wall bounces with it. Like, it literally is a do-it-all gun. And I agree, Sam. I think sub players who are so stuck on using the sub at all times are just getting put in absolute blenders. I think.
Fun fact. That's never been a thing in any COD ever where the AR shot faster.
Really, that's never been a thing.
Vanguard, the auto.
Everybody wants to talk about the sniper rifle. Everybody wants to talk about the NPC sub. Everybody wants to talk about all this shit. But nobody wants to talk about the do-it-all AR. We're seeing a Beezy running a full-time AR. One of the best submachine gun players in the world is running a full-time AR now. And you're seeing a lot of top superstar subs struggling.
The actually just blows.
The Dravik sucks compared
I think
to the M15.
I think it's probably just because the
Are they
gun
playing
fucking
with the latest
sucks.
patch, by the way?
No, they're 2 patches
Nah,
back.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're not.
I just don't understand why are
But
they
it could
talking
be the
about the
maps in the
snipes,
series
the
too, Tom.
NPCs,
Like
everything.
if they play Colossus or Blackheart, they're gonna have the subs are gonna be good. But they did play Scar and Exposure, which are like the AR heavy maps.
That's kind of where I was going with it, Dill. Like your reluctancy to play Scar or Blackheart and Colossus, but also you don't want to use an AR. It seems kind of counterintuitive.
So you got to pull out
what
like
they're
3
doing
in a
right
lot
now.
of situations on Scar when you're holding, Exposure when you're holding, or even breaking. Like the ARs are really good on those maps.
Yeah,
the subs are only good if you're like able to get in their face in their spawn.
I think their slowdown and overload is also a little worrying. I think they came out of the gates hot at the early part of the season, just with the whole like pinch set up a lead blocker thing that Ant had going on, and then the break happened, and I think people really just copy and pasted that to their own gameplay. So I think Optic have some work to do in the respawn mode specifically, but again, the search has been really good for them, and today it was not. So going into the major, I don't know what the fuck is going on, bro, with anyone. I don't know shit about Call of Duty, apparently. Like, FaZe lost to G2, Optic lost to Thieves, like, Koi lost. I mean, I don't know. Gentlemates lost. Like, Falcons are winning the event. Falcons are winning the event.
Is it just Black Ops 7? Like, is Black Ops 7 just one of those games that you just don't know what's gonna? It's so day to day.
Let's slow our roll before we call this a Vanguard year. Let's slow our roll.
I hear all the critiques about Optic, but I also do want to iterate. It's very early in the season, guys. I mean, you know, we're looking at like where people are in like KDs and shit, but we haven't even been to a major yet. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like we take it with a grain of salt. There's a lot to play for. You know, it's very early in the season.
I mean, I get it, but like, Ozzy has a lower hardpoint KD than Slasher.
I mean, is it really that? Like, I get he's struggling, but like, we're not going to sit here and say it doesn't turn up for the majority of the year.
He's got to pull the AR out, bro. If he pulls the AR, he'll be doing just fine. On like the Exposure and Scars, just pull the AR out.
I think to the point everybody in this call looked like they're going to be in winners bracket, but to Sam's point, they're now on a 3-game L streak in January and Overload. The hard point is starting to show cracks, especially when their ARs don't fry. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of ways
ARs,
in which.
Bro. When the other 3 don't fry, Mercules is doing
What
his
you do for exercises today?
But like, if you're an Optic fan, this is how you get top 6 at Major 1 is this thing. So they got to find.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Is that that exercise where you're you say getting arrested? Is it good? Like stretch your neck. But at the same time, and where do you feel that? Probably.
More consistency next week, or yeah, to your point, Bill, some weird shit happens and they don't make it to the weekend.
All right, let's take a look at some of the clips from the series. To start things off on an exposure hard point. This is always a tricky situation, I feel like, on this hard point. I actually thought Scrappy did a good job just buying time and staying alive here, but I've just gotta be careful with 15, 16 seconds left. They decide to all push this still and hit this, and everybody dies and everybody spawns out. And the problem with that is you just giving thieves like a free P3, which in my opinion, I just feel like the P3, the window hill, it's just such a hard hill to break. Like when you have a perfect setup. Like, I don't know if that's an optic troll from nitpicking there. Like, what do you guys think? Like,
no, hitting 15 seconds of P2 is absolutely troll.
They should probably chill, right? Like, they should probably chill right here.
You can play into P3 if you want, but
yeah, just like them chowing, I think was a mistake. Like, they should have just let thieves chow them and then just like hold their irons and like play some kills. So maybe just getting a little bit overzealous there from Optic Texas. They kind of throw the rotation with 15 seconds left. Maybe a mistake there from them, and LA Thieves obviously take full advantage of it. As we go into the P4, you actually see that they're up about 50 points here. And then we go into the P4, and Ernie actually makes a great play here, but maybe some wonky spawns here. You see Ernesto, you see Scrappy. He makes some good plays here. He actually kills Merc around the back. I thought this spawn was a little weird when Hoot spawned right behind him. I thought Ernie was actually blocking being where he is. But I guess you really just got to be standing back there, right? Like, you literally just have to get back there.
I'm curious if there's any players in chat that can correct me. I think it's because of Ken. Just where he is on the map. He's past the 50 on the opposite side of P1. Like, I think he's close enough to P3 to, like, maybe make this weird. Because, like, the P2 tank spawn is open for Optic, technically. But I don't know, maybe Ken, like, being there somehow influences that spawn at the same time as the front spawn as well. So it just force spawns him in the back. That's
agree,
my best
Sam.
guess.
It could be Kenny's just too far out. It could be. Ideally, he should be spawning P2 though. But I mean, with 2 dead here, like this might be a nitpick, but Ernie probably should have just went to the back here and just stayed alive and just trusted his team to collapse and get this guy. Like, you know what I mean? But like, he needs to block that back spawn. Like, if he was back there, I'm pretty sure number 1 spawning out. Like, it's a pretty sticky spawn.
Dude, I feel like we see so many weird spawns on this hill. I don't know.
Yeah, this hill, because there's 2 back spawns. There's 2 back spawns on his hill.
That's an impossible read.
And then we play it out, and the spawns are a little weird again, right? Didn't spawns get a little weird again?
Yeah, 35 seconds. Shotzi spawns behind them.
Yeah, so you see how, like, we'll play it out here and take a look. But this makes sense, though. Shotzi spawning behind him makes sense.
This one makes sense.
This one looks better just because they're not blocking. Yeah, they're not blocking here.
There's just got to be spawn points behind the hill. Like, you either going to block the left or the right.
Yeah, that was interesting. Obviously, Optic, they get the last 30 here and keep it pretty close, or the last, like, 20 there. And then we go into to a P5 rotation. I don't know. Again, this could be a nitpick, but Ernie gets this kill at new. I think Ernie should just push through with 10 seconds left of ult and just stay alive. His teammates are spawning in the back of ult, so just working that natural pinch. Like, I think he sets himself up great if he just gets pushed up on his next hard point. But he actually jumps up through mid and chows mid here, and then just gets picked. Right, and I feel like that kind of hurts LA Thieves a little bit. I thought actually LA Thieves was going to win that rotation, but it ended up being Optic Texas who get here early because of that. What do you guys think? Should Ernie have pushed through there or what?
I agree. Yeah, I think you should just either play life on pillar because you know they're spawning out P2, or push through and just set up a pinch like you said with your teammates on the natural pinch.
Yeah, it ends up working for him too because it's just the spawn that comes in. Take a look here. I think maybe Merc being pushed up here. Nobody's really hard blocking or anything, and it ends up causing a split spawn behind them, which I don't know.
Shot,
it's a little...
does Ant pick this up?
He does, but then
I was gonna say he got a super
he's sprinting.
close
Which
spawn.
another thing, like I don't think Ant should be sprinting here. Like I think
Like just turn instead. You know you got a
just
close
turn
spawn.
and just L trigger.
Yeah.
Just play like an off angle and just L trigger. Like he got such a close spawn. Like I feel like he knew somebody was pinching.
You can stream
But
after you
instead,
eat.
He runs at him. Like Ant runs up and then he loses the fight. And then when he loses the fight, now look, like they're getting pinched. And look at where he spawns. Like, look at where Shotzi and Merc spawn. Like they just spawned so far out. I thought that was maybe a little bit of a misplay from Optic Texas there. It seemed like they had the perfect setup. I think Ernie trolled at first, and I think Shotzi made a misplay right there by just getting caught sprinting. I think if he just chilled, Optic probably could have held most of that time. But nonetheless, again, great break from LA Thieves. They come in, they take full advantage of it. We do got to listen in from LA Thieves. I actually thought they sounded great, so let's tune in and see how they sound.
Hold on, hold on, Tyler.
The BZ goes crazy, by the way.
Gonna be top poly.
What are they saying? It just sounds like they're just blurting out random bullshit.
One window.
Great play from Ant coming up right here.
We just played the live right again. Okay, we're out of here.
I mean, we might as well talk about it real quick, but I'll pause the listening. Just Shotzi taking this route and hitting through mid and jumping up through window. I mean, it's just a good route. It just flips LA Thieves out. See the kills come in, and Shotzi's not getting any kills, but him just taking this route, once these kills come in, you see where LA Thieves is spawning, and it sets Optic up pretty nicely for that next rotation. And I think like little stuff like that is where Optic ends up winning this map. It's just because of those routes. But let's head back into the listening, and then we got an Optic listening after this.
Okay, we're out of here. I got one. On time. There's not hit twice. There's two.
Explain.
I got one. There's two there. No, really big. Brandon, one shot.
Who was playing in that match you're watching?
Brandon, one shot. Brandon, back there, and one shot on ult. And one bullet on ult, he was. Okay, I'm blocking. There's one on deep, I think. Yeah, there's one on deep. One's back at me. Right on me somewhere. I'll see trying out. One's back at me. Weak in the back, Brandon. Weak in the back. Going top blue. Zig, front him. Nice. Low. Close left. Okay, I'll still top right, bro. He's gonna shot. Trying to help you. I'll stop here.
Stop, Nick.
Okay, wait. I'm nading. One's low. He's low. Just, I dropped the nade. All good. Reset, bro. Reset. Yeah, reset. I'm gonna try to get nice.
All right, it's gonna do it for the listening here for LA Thieves. Let's go into the listening here with Optic Texas and see how these guys sound. Wait, they did a listening with Optic Texas, right?
I don't think they did it listening today with them.
Oh, maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
They did. They did. I fucking it was a back-to-back. All right, now we gotta listen in with Optic Texas. Let's do it.
We swap over to see how Optic are coming.
First server in time. Low server.
One shot, two.
Okay, soak this 15. Two jumping up. Maybe low. Respond here. Damn.
Two free Paco. Two of them. Kenny and Paco.
On me, dead.
I got one.
Okay, I'm pushed out solar already. I'm already pushed out solar.
I'm walking the back. They should be spawning with me.
I'm on time. I'm on it. Bump out and help in the back if you want. Bump out right.
I have solar, boys.
They can go front.
I'm
back right. I'm trying out. Yo, go first server. One's front on me.
Two back right. Nothing solar.
Two back right. I'm playing on double nading front. Two front. Another one front. Front Kenny.
Last guy in the back. Back right. He's in between. He's living.
One shot. Nice. Give me front. One cut is spawn in the back.
I love who fast.
Watch out. Kenny's ape in the back. I spawn in the back.
He's there. Help in the back there. In the back, dead. Front of me. Nice.
Give me front. He's living.
Nice.
I love Hoop's fashion.
In the back. Watch out. Kenny's ape in the back. I spawn in the back. He's there.
Help in the back there. In the back, dead. Front of me. Watch out, on right corner. He's wall bouncing. They're front. One bullet.
You're by yourself. Right corner time on me, boys. I need time.
Nice.
Any updates on your mold, Kim?
I'm banging from front.
One shot on time. They're both dead with one bullet. All good.
Nice.
Get in. Oh my god.
Stay down on me.
Oh my god.
I'm blocking. Play line. Let them handle.
I heard you.
I'm blocking our side.
So like in the next couple days, right?
Hear him getting.
All right, it's gonna do it for the listening with Optic Texas. What'd you guys think?
Hey,
Both
Kyler's
listenings.
fucking turn. It was just annoying. I didn't remember the listening, so I was tweaking in our mini map, just hitting the front door over and over again.
Yeah, it was good plays though from Merrick. Holy fuck. That was fucking insane.
From the LAT one, I swear, Paco was a little quiet. Like, I feel like I didn't really hear Paco that whole time, really.
You think so? You think he was a little quiet there, Dim?
Paco was a little quiet right there in that LAT listening.
All right, I'll get back on later. I'm gonna go take a shower.
This is what Kenny was talking about when he said he trolled first map. I mean, Kenny was absolutely
Ken
fucking
wants this one
cooking.
back.
But I mean, he obviously makes phenomenal plays, gets into this hard point. Fast forward it a little bit. Kenny, he gets the kills. It was just him over-challing, right? It was, he gets here, he's contesting. This is the highlights. Well, I'm fucking trolling. Holy shit. I'm looking at fucking highlights and shit. Here we go. We're at the very end here. Kenny, he's down on the hard point. He's finding kills. He does a good job just staying alive and buying time, and maybe just gets a little too turnt here. He ends up sliding out. I think in a situation like this, if you're Kenny, you just got to stay down, make them push you. You got teammates looking over you. And I think he knows that. I think he knows he might have fucked up here. I mean, obviously, thieves are down, but it's a